Hello everyone, this is Ren, and today we're going to cover Tranq Shot tutorial. This tutorial is going to specifically focus on heroic Lich King and tranking the shambling horrors for that fight. However, there are a lot of other useful applications for this macro. It's not specifically designed for shambling horrors. It's just really effective on that fight. If you're a hunter and you're playing Hero Molten on the 3.3.5 expansion, or even any other expansion, it's really important that you be good at using your ancillary abilities. On a lot of fights, people only really care about how much damage you can do, and it doesn't really matter whether you're good at using misdirects or you're good at using tranq shots. But on this fight in particular, if you're bad at tranq shots, you can cause a raid wipe. Hunters have a very important job on this one. The reason for that is that the shambling horrors hit like trucks, and when they enrage and they do a shockwave on the tank, it can one-shot the tank or very nearly one-shot the tank. If you get two of them up at once, I mean, that could be a raid wipe right there. You can prevent that raid wipe with really good tranq shots. So we'll go over positioning, macro usage, and other little tips and tricks. So let's go ahead and get into it. We'll start off with the macro that I use. Okay, so the macro that I use is shown here. The first line is show tooltip tranquilizing shot. And if you put that # show tooltip or hashtag show tooltip, depending on what you call that symbol, what this basically does is it allows you to see the mouse over information. So if you mouse over this spell, you can see all the spell details in the tooltip of it. Otherwise, it'll just have the name of whatever you name your macro. The next line is stopcasting, and stopcasting basically stops whatever you're doing and lets you do whatever is on the next line. So it basically just stops whatever you're currently working on. And the reason I had this in there is because for most of your abilities that are instant cast, it doesn't make a difference. Stopcasting won't do anything. But if I'm in the middle of casting a steady shot, I don't want to wait till my steady shot is over to tranq shot. If I want a tranq shot, I want a tranq shot immediately. Reaction time is really important. My goal is always to be the first one to tranq it. I don't want to wait for anybody else to do it. So I cast this in there. It cuts my steady shot out. Yes, you suffer a little bit of DPS as a result of that. Your DPS will be a little bit lower, but you'll be much better at tranq shotting. And the goal for this phase 1 isn't to have super high DPS. It's to play well and to survive. So it's much more beneficial for your raid if you're good about tranq shotting, and not as important if you do high DPS. High DPS is for phase 2. In phase 1, you just need to make sure you're doing your job. And then the next line is a mouseover line. And what this does is when you hover your mouse over the shambling horror or over anything, right? It could be any target. That's not specifically shambling horrors that this will work for. You can use the macro and tranq shot whatever your mouseover target is, and you can still maintain your original target. So the way I use this is I'll stay focused on the Lich King, and then when I see the shambling horror rage, I'll hover my mouse over the shambling horror, tranq shot it, and I immediately go back to my rotation. But I don't need to switch targets. I don't need to do anything like that. And I have a lot of control over which target I'm tranq shotting because it's whatever I'm moused over. So if there's 2 shambling horrors up, I know exactly which one I'm going to use. And that's basically why this is set up that way. And now let's go ahead and look and see how it looks in action. Alright, so let's look at some video of Lich King 25 player heroic difficulty. I took this video while I was playing with Dare on my hunter. So the boss is going to be my target. My focus target and the main tank is Shreddenpuss. You do misdirection like normal, and as the pole comes down, go ahead and open up on the boss. This is a good time to do damage because there's nothing else really going on besides killing the boss. And as soon as you see on the side over there, the next horror is coming up in 2 seconds. That's when you really want to start paying attention for these ads. So there, cast the shambling horror. The shambling horror is coming up. Immediately, the mouse goes over to where the shambling horror is and just kind of hovers over in there in that area. And then we're going to wait for this enrage. There he uses the enrage. You tranq shot it and move to the side. And keep in mind the tranq shot does not have any kind of cast time on it, so you can totally use it while you're on the move. If you have to run into some place, you can cast it while you're moving. Another enrage there. You'll notice that the shambling horrors will kind of throw their hands back and kind of shout up in the upwards direction, and they'll turn red. And it's just like almost like if a warrior were to use some kind of enraged effect. And what you want to do is be looking for that. So you just target the Lich King the entire time. The entire time my target is the Lich King, and I don't really ever lose that. But I'm really paying attention to the shambling horror, and you just kind of use your muscle memory to do your rotation. You don't even really pay attention to that part of it. And as soon as you see an enraged, there you go. Now I've got 2 shambling horrors up at this point. So slow reaction time would really, really be detrimental to the raid at this point. So you want to make sure that you're doing your job. And again, we're just hovering over. If you find that the health bars are not as helpful and you would rather just hover over the actual character's 3D graphical image as opposed to the health bars, you could do whatever you want. The mouseover macro will work regardless of what you're hovering over. You can even hover over unit frames and things like that. But I like the health bars. I feel like that's usually the best way to go about it. The only time when it wouldn't be is if maybe damage in phase 1 is really low and you have a ton of those little ads up. You can maybe get lost in that one, and then it might be helpful to turn the health bars off. At this point, I'm right on the edge. What I do, I have the range spec on my hunter, so what I do is once I get to phase 1, I'll put on auto walk, so you're walking instead of running, and go to the edge, and as soon as you can start attacking Lich King, that's where you want to be. You don't want to be any closer than that. You've basically got less than a meter. I've also positioned myself so I can still hover over the shambling horrors if I need to. If there's 2 of them up or something like that, you still need to Tranq Shot those. So you want to position yourself so you basically got a triangle. One corner you are standing, on another corner the Lich King, and then on the other corner, the last corner, you have the shambling horrors. And you want to basically be facing yourself so that you're facing both of the other 2 opposite ends so that you can attack either the Lich King or the shambling horrors. And you can also attack the ice spears should the other range not be doing their job. And just a really good positioning. Anyway, that's really all you need to know. And I hope this tutorial's been helpful, and I hope to see a lot more people getting a lot done. Thanks for watching. If you'd like to play with us here on Molten Wild, this is the server information. If you want to subscribe, check out more videos on my YouTube channel, or follow me on Twitch. Thanks for watching.